Welcome, everyone. This is the Mo Show on Rock M Radio. I'm your host, Chad Moller. I was a longtime PR guy for Mizzou Athletics, and I joined the Rock M team recently and had a harebrained idea to do a podcast. So this is that idea. And I just get a chance to take my experiences and my relationships from my time in athletics at Mizzou and bring those people and those experiences and those personalities to Mizzou fans. So this is that show, and this is episode number 5, and I'm grateful to have you here alongside. So, and I'm very excited to bring you this show's guest. Whether it's fair or not, he is likely the name most associated with the success of the Gary Pinkel era as a player, anyway. So you probably already know who it is. He's a Texas gunslinger. He chose the Tigers over lots of programs that he could have went to, and he turned down a late push from the Texas Longhorns, which was his childhood favorite team, I believe. But it ended up working well for him as he smashed tons of records here at Mizzou, led the Tigers to national prominence that we hadn't seen in a very long time. Ended up being a Big 12 Player of the Year, Heisman finalist, All-American, all that stuff, and part of a magical 2007 season that will go down in history. And he went on to a 14-year NFL career despite not being drafted, which is very rare. And now he's becoming a very prominent player in the NFL media space. You can catch him on YouTube and all over the place. So, of course, that's Chase Daniel. I had a great time catching up with Chase, and I hope you enjoy our visit. So without further ado, here's number 10 himself, Chase Daniel. There he is, everybody, Chase Daniel. Joining the show. Thanks, buddy, for taking the time. I really appreciate it. It's so great to see you and looking forward to catching up. We'll get into your Mizzou days and NFL days. I know we got a lot to talk about, but I thought I'd ask you to just start by sharing with everyone what you're up to, what you've been doing since you hung up the cleats. You got a lot of irons in the fire, I know.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Love the title. Just glad that Chase still talks to me. That's hilarious under your name. You're my guy. You know that, of course. Yeah. So for me, I never really officially retired. People ask me all the time, "Are you retired?" Yes, I'm retired. Yeah. I'm just not big into putting it out on social media and having people just give you all your flower. Like, I don't want that. So I just literally went right into my next job, which was NFL Network. This past year was awesome because I did Total Access, which just got canceled, by the way, after 23 years. That was an amazing show. Really lucky and blessed to be able to have been on that show the last season running. Did that on Fridays, did a bunch of draft stuff, combine coverage, free agency coverage for NFL Network. That was awesome. It's just right up the road in LA. We're in San Diego. So that was great. I did the Athletic Football Show with Robert Mays this year as well, once a week, which was awesome. If you like nerdy football stuff, like in the weeds, that is the show for you. It was awesome. Hopefully continue to do that a little bit this year. And what I was probably most proud of, I had a podcast with Trey Wingo called Chasing It as well. We had 40 episodes of that. Had some really good guests. But what I was most proud of probably this year of everything that I did was probably my YouTube channel, just Chase Daniel Show. If you just YouTube search Chase Daniel, you'll be able to find it. It'll come right up. I mean, look, we launched it, and it's pretty much like a quarterback breakdown channel, or at least it was. It still is.
Yeah.
When we first started, we started October 1st was my very first video. And what it is, it's 10 to 12 plays, and it's breaking down quarterbacks from across the NFL. I just do NFL. I did some college stuff as they got closer to the draft, but I was really excited, and I wanted to really figure out how can I show my knowledge and expertise in a way that everyone can understand it, like your mother-in-law could understand it, my mother-in-law could understand it, but how can I actually get that product on a screen? And how do I draw on video? And that, to me, drove me crazy for 3 weeks because I could not find for the life of me how to draw on video because I wanted to telestrate it. I literally use this Apple Pencil right here, and you're just drawing, and I'm circling so you can follow. And it was great. It was great. And so we started that with, I think I had like 1,200 subscribers because I did that little Chase Chats thing during the pandemic and had it. But I had like 1,200 subscribers in October. And like 6 months later, it's like 50,000 subscribers. And we've got multiple videos with over 100,000 views, which is a lot. And just, it's really been a cool way to bypass everything and everyone and just put what I do out on the internet and out on social and on YouTube. It's blown up way beyond my imagination. So we'll look to dive into that even more this coming year. And yeah, there's some pretty big announcements coming out soon. Just going to be stepping up my game at NFL Network, possibly doing some games probably somewhere at some point,
Nice.
whether that's college or the NFL, who knows, and
awesome.
some other stuff with the Athletics. So a lot of stuff in the pipeline. So it's been a crazy year. One that's finally started to simmer down right now, at least until July in training camp.
I gotcha. Yeah, I was gonna mention your YouTube channel, and you said Chase Daniel Show, and I can't recommend that enough for people who just, like you said, but I think it strikes a nice balance of, being in the weeds a little bit from a football standpoint, but understandable enough. Relatable, I guess, is the word I'm looking for.
That's what we saw. That's what we saw was the relatability, because there's so many people that can just get so deep into the weeds, like you said. And I'm glad you brought it up, that it can be just not entertaining. I want to be entertaining, but I also want to talk in a way that teaches football and progresses football. And I've had multiple coaches, high school coaches, college coaches, etc., reach out and be like, this is amazing. Like, this is cool. And like, I just dropped a video the other day. It was like, hey, here's what a playbook looks like. Cause I'm like, I know what a playbook looks like. Other people don't. So just stuff like that and build on stuff like that has been really, really fun to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So like when, I know you do, like you said, you do one on all sorts of quarterbacks. You've done one on Patrick Mahomes, kind of breaking down his game here and there, I know. So let's say you do a 25-minute video there. How much time does that take you to get in, whether it's preparation, doing it, post, editing, all that stuff? How much does one of those take?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, and I should have probably said that when I was talking about it. That's a great point. So at first, when we first started the channel, I was having probably the first, I don't know, 5 or 6 videos that I did. I was having it sent to an editor, and they were editing it, and because I was just like, I don't have time. Like, I don't have time, and then obviously it costs money to edit, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to sit here on a weekend. I'm going to figure out how to do this myself. So I first of all, I stopped spending money. Second of all, I streamline it, because we're putting out during the season, I'm putting out 5 or 6 a week, which is 20 to 25 minute long videos. I would say though, like, I'll answer your question, but like from start to finish, if I'm posting a 18 to 20 minute long video, it probably takes 1 hour total for that video. And I produce it. I edit it now. I throw it up on YouTube. That's download time. That's everything. So it's pretty quick, especially if the actual video is 20 minutes long. Right. And I literally taught myself how to use iMovie. And like, because if you watch intros of it, I like to keep it really relevant. I know YouTube's all about evergreen, but I like to keep it really relevant to where I'll put certain people's tweets. Like, it'll pop up like right here in the corner. If this is literally my background for it, and I'll put a tweet in, and it'll be like, over here, and it looks awesome, and it's so easy. And I figured out how to do it. Splice some stuff up, lower some volume, or high, or like so I've got it streamlined down. And so that is something that I was like more proud of than anything, because I'm like, I'm just a football player. Like, no, I can do way more than that. Like, I can figure stuff out on my own. And I've become pretty handy. I mean, because everything right now, right, is going digital. Like Pat McAfee show. Take, for example, he doesn't need the big networks. Now, he's with ESPN, but his YouTube during draft, it was getting 3 million views a night. When he was doing live. I mean, it's more than linear TV, and it's not even close on certain channels. And so this is something that I want to do, and I want to have planned. I want to be able to, well, I shouldn't be telling all the plans, but I want to be able to tap in to those 50,000 people and start doing more live stuff. So you're getting it as it goes out. We're able to throw stuff up. I'm able to talk through things. I'm able to answer questions. That's something that we're really looking forward to. And we're going to have some really big name partners that are going to partner with me on this. So it's just exciting to build this sort of thing from the ground up. I never knew what we had. I had an inkling, like, I'll go back to it. I'll have an inkling that if I can figure out how to draw on freaking video, then I think we're going to have something cool. And it blew up beyond my imagination.
Yeah, well, it's really impressive, man, and happy for you, and not surprised that you would pick it up because I know you've got that in you. So we'll look forward to seeing all the big stuff coming down the road. Hey, so let's get into football. Just kind of your personal football story, if you will. I know I'm sure you've told these stories millions of times, but I just love to kind of recount some of them. So going way back when, what were some of the first memories you have of the game of football as you were growing up? What are some things that stick out to you?
So my first memories of football, it's so funny you asked that because I was literally just going through a football season. Preston, my son, he's 6.5 years old. He's in flag football here in San Diego, and I'm the head coach, been the head coach for all 3 seasons that he's played, and just started to jog my memory. And I just remember, for me, like I played tackle football, Chad, when I was in 3rd grade. And it was in Irving, Texas, where the old Cowboy Stadium used to be. Born and raised there. We moved to Southlake, Carroll in 8th grade. And I remember when I was in 3rd grade, 8 or 9, and I played for the IBFA, which is the Irving Boys Football Association. And it was just so much fun. I played for the Cougars. And, I played running back. I played some like lineman, I'm pretty sure. I never played quarterback at that point, I don't think. But yeah, just playing. And then I remember really thinking, because I was talking to my son. I was talking to my son about this the other day. He was like, "Dad, when did you know you were good at football?" I was like, well, that's actually a really good question. Because he's like starting to like really like to play catch with Dad. And like he wants to be good at stuff. He hates being bad at stuff. He's too hard on himself, just like me. I mean, dude, I was the exact same way. And I told him, well, I guess it was 6th or 7th grade at Crockett Middle School in Irving. And I was playing quarterback. And I just remember like the game being really fun and easy. And we threw a lot of touchdowns. And in 7th grade, that like wasn't talked about a lot. But like we had the coach, the Irving high school coach, like when he saw that we're moving away, like, are you sure you want to move away? Cause like, you're going to be our quarterback. Like, you don't want to do that. And we ended up playing them actually when I was at Southlake in like the state quarterfinal or something, beat them. But yeah, probably around then. That's what I told him. And then, the journey from Southlake to Mizzou, and then Mizzou to undrafted to the NFL. I mean, it's crazy, but yeah, those were probably my earliest memories. Though was those IBFA days and the Cougars, like just crazy. My dad was a coach, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. You mentioned Southlake Carroll, and of course, most everyone here at Mizzou knows that name. You kind of started a little pipeline there of a few guys that came this way, but it was a powerhouse program that had national recognition. We saw you play on, I think, ESPN when you were still there at one time. That was really cool, and
crazy.
People get a chance to know you a little bit. Coach Dodge, all that stuff. Do you stay in touch with him at all?
Yeah. We definitely stay in touch. We talk quite a bit. He's like one of my mentors just in life in general. And quite honestly, probably the greatest head coach of all time in the state of Texas when it comes to high school football, just based purely on his resume. He was out of coaching for a year. So he ended at Austin West, like they won like 3 straight state championships, a powerhouse where Drew Brees went. He was AD and head coach there. And he was just sort of just burnt out, looking for a change, maybe wanted to make a jump to the pro game if opportunity presented itself. So we were talking about that, and all of a sudden he was like, I just want to like retire and play golf. And I was like, Coach, I know you, and I really don't think you're gonna like stay retired. And sure enough, so his son, Riley Dodge, who was a ball boy when I was there at Southlake, is now the head coach at Southlake. And so all of his family, including all of his grandkids, are in DFW area, the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And so he just took a job. I was like, of course, he's at Lovejoy, which is Allen, which is a huge high school in Allen, Texas. And he's the AD and head coach too. I was like, dude, I knew you wouldn't say retired. So yeah, he's a legend in his own right. My parents still live in Southlake. My family's all still in Dallas, but we're out here in San Diego.
Yeah. So you get to Mizzou. What was Mizzou ever on your radar? And it was Steck that kind of was he your first contact?
Yeah, it was Steck. I mean, Coach Steckel, man, he still tweets at me all the time. He still sends me text messages. Like, That dude's a
That's a
legend.
dangerous thing, man. Him on Twitter.
I know him on Twitter. Now he's doing the broadcast stuff, so he's feeling himself a
Yeah.
little bit too, calling games. He's funny, man. He's a great dude. Yeah, Mizzou was really never on my radar, to be completely honest. Like, my dad ingrained in me so much that even like during my junior year, to not focus on anything other than the present, because the present is the most important thing, and you're never going to have another chance to be a high school athlete again. And so I think I was so focused on that. It made me really, really good at football, but also I didn't really start paying attention to recruiting until like after my junior year. And I wanted to have my decision made before my senior year, because I don't want to have to worry about it. We lost the state championship 16-15 in 20, or I don't even know what year it was, a long time ago, 2003, which was my junior year. And I wanted to make sure that we were focused on senior year. We ended up going 16-0, win the state championship. But, Mizzou was my first offer. And I played really, really well my junior year, like all state and just about everything. Got state player of the year at the highest classification in the state of Texas. So you can imagine, like Texas is one of the top 2 or 3 states, in my opinion, Texas or high school football. So a lot of people out of Texas get recruited. So when that happened, when I won all those awards, when we had the season we did, it just sort of like started my dad likes to call it Chase Daniel sweepstakes, which I don't like it, but I think it is true, because Mizzou was the first offer. And then once Mizzou offered, and then once people started to know that I wanted to get this decision in the summer out of the way and wanted to commit and focus, I promise you, after Mizzou offered, there was probably within the next week, there was probably 35 to 40 more offers that showed up at my house. And I was like, whoa, okay, like this is something that is like a legitimate choice. Like I could play football at the next level. And so that was probably the biggest like the coolest thing that we had going on was just sort of the offers. And, there was offers from like Stanford, Florida, Utah, Wisconsin, TCU, A&M, like a lot of big name schools. But I think what sold me on Mizzou the most, I'm sure you'll get to, so I'll just get it out of the way for you, is obviously the people, right? Like Coach Dave Steckel, David Yost, which I still talk to. He literally called me the other day. I got to call him back. That's a good reminder. Dave Christensen, Gary Pinkel, like all the people there that recruited me, I felt like really, really believed in me. And to me, that was a big deal. And I remember when I committed, I was watching, Coach Pinkel hates when I bring this up. I was watching ESPN. It was like a Thursday night game. And I just committed. It was early in the season. You guys lost to Troy down at Troy on national TV. Yep. And I'm like, who is Troy? and people are like, where did you commit? Like, what are you doing? But
yeah, I gotta be honest that we were all going, oh crap, I hope this doesn't change his mind.
Well, and it didn't, because I never wavered, and we can get into that later. But for me, it was like a no-brainer. And they, a lot of times coaches promise stuff and it never comes to fruition. And Coach Pinkel never really promised, hey, you're going to be a starter here, you're going to do this.
Right.
But one thing he did say, which I thought was the most interesting thing of anyone that I talked to, was like, hey, we got Brad Smith here. Look at what he's doing in this spread offense. We're going to this spread offense a year early, because if you commit, we really think that this spread offense, we are going to make it identical, almost identical to your high school offense, because we love what Todd Dodge is doing. And we just think you're going to be able to play right away. I was like, oh yeah, it didn't. But sure enough, like I didn't pay it any mind. And sure enough, it was right. He was right. Like, it was literally like, hey, we went to this offense and we're at 7.5 yards deep in the shotgun, and we're throwing to All-Americans left and right. And we got great offensive line blocking. You're going to be at that depth so no one can sack you. And so it really played out well for me.
Yeah. And so you mentioned Brad, obviously you come in and he's the senior, you're a freshman. And one thing that Coach Pinkel and Christensen kind of implemented that year, your first year here, is trying to give the guy who was most likely the next in line some, real-time game experience here and there, wherever possible. And so, you got snaps in almost every game throughout the year, to help get you kind of, put your feet in the fire and get you used to the speed of the game at that level. How beneficial do you think that was for you? That did that speed up your process, I guess, your evolution process a little bit?
I mean, totally. Yeah. I mean, look, the biggest thing at any level when you're going from high school to college or college to pro is the speed of the game, right? Like everyone's
Mm,
a high school All-American nowadays in college, and everyone's a college All-American in the NFL mostly. And so the speed goes, crazy. And I remember when, you know, Coach Pinkel named me the backup quarterback, and I was like, wait, what? Like, I went in competing and wanting to play, but I'm like, oh, Brad Smith's a living legend. Like, what? Like, not only did he say, hey, Chase, I'll always remember this. He called me into the office, like, hey, Chase, like, we want you to be the backup. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, yeah, I'll be the backup. Probably never play. I don't have to burn my red. At that point, you stepped on the field one time, your red shirt's burned, which is ridiculous.
Right.
But then he said, hey, we want to play you every game. I go, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, you have a living legend, Brad Smith. He's like, no, we can play you a series or two a game, and we think it'll be good for your development. And he's like, go talk to your parents about it because it's a big deal. I think I only played like 200 snaps that year, and I didn't. You don't get that year back now. And but it was well worth it. I think I think if I can remember the 06 season, went in, won the starting job, and we played Murray State at home as a home opener, and I threw 5 touchdowns. And I'm like, oh, the game's slow to me. And just throughout that season, we obviously hit some adversity. We started really, really well. We ended horribly. But just playing those 200 snaps, especially the Iowa State game, overtime game, just like actually – doing it and getting the experience of like, hey, you can play at this level. I think that more so the experience was great and all, but the confidence level that it gave me to be like, you can play at this level, you can play at the highest level. And the game was really slow to me. And I think with all great players, if the game slows down and you can just command it and you can take control of it, that's how you are a great player, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. So you talked about 2006, your first year as a starter, did some great things, had some good success. The end of the year didn't finish like we were all hoping, but it set up, your junior year, 2007, have a lot of guys coming back. We were still kind of under the radar, if you will, a little bit, maybe because of how 06 finished. People were overlooking us, I think, a little bit. What do you remember about the vibe on the team, like in the summer leading up to 2007? Was there just a feeling that we got something that people are kind of sleeping on here?
Well, yeah, that something was Jeremy Macklin. But for one of the things, but I think that we just had, I know we had great senior leadership that 07 year. Lorenzo Williams pops out to me as like T-Ruck, as the guys that were like, yo, this is how we're going to do things. And honestly, like them letting me, after you got to sort of prove yourself for a year, them letting me become sort of a team leader in a way, and just like that just like unrelenting, like want to be perfect and want to be great. And this is not right. And we have to be great in practice. We have to be great in everything that we do. And that's the only thing I knew. And so I tried my hardest, and I think it worked for the most part, just to like get people to buy into my way of thinking, and not my way of thinking in terms of, oh, I think I'm great at football. My way of thinking, like, this is how we should all view the game. Because if we all view the game and we all come together, all 11 on offense, 11 on defense, 11 on special teams, we can be really good, but we have to really believe it. And yeah, we have great talent, but talent doesn't mean anything on the football field unless you can come together as a team. And I think for me, that's something I'm most proud of looking back on, especially the 07 season, is like we reached, not our full potential because we lost in the Big 12 championship game, a game away, but like we did something special that year. And that was something that was really fun to me. And just, but I'll always remember the senior leadership on that team.
This has been a preview of The Mo Show with Chad Moller. For the full episode, be sure to subscribe to Rock M Plus at rockm.plus.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Rock M Radio, a proud partner of Fans First Sports Network. Rock M Radio is the official podcast network of Rock M Plus, a new and exciting subscription service provided by me and the other voices of Rock M Radio. Please take a few moments to head over to rockm.plus and sign up for an account today. The cost is only $5 a month, and the benefits include access to our live podcast, a subscriber-only message board, weekly newsletters, and more. If you enjoyed this episode of Rock M Radio and would like to see more just like it beamed directly into your personal device, make sure to click the subscribe button below and tell your friends. Our podcast feed is available through the Apple Podcast app for iPhone, Google Podcast app for Android, whatever app you listen to your podcast. You can also find Rock M Radio on Spotify. If you're looking for a podcast about your favorite team that is not the Missouri Tigers, Fan First Sports Network is your answer. A full podcast network loaded with the team-specific podcasts covering Major League Baseball, the NFL, NHL, NBA, MLS, and more. And we'll be back with more episodes of Rock M Radio coming to you soon.